Too often, I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. Again, barefaced lies. Too often, I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. Again.
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Think of one point where it's all gonna end, yeah. If you think we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shooting cold, overgrown, postal road, barefaced lies.
Barefaced lies. Barefaced lies.
Hey Sean, you got a party? You got that little party going on there. Keep to the left, you can't think right, so everything you do goes wrong, yeah. Incompetence just leads to disaster. Corruption brings it on even faster. What you say?
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Think you one where it's all gonna end, yeah. If you think we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal road, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Think you one where it's all gonna end, yeah. If you think we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal road, barefaced lies.
Barefaced lies. Barefaced lies.
Comrades, you always told us you'd build us all a new Jerusalem, yeah. You talk the talk, but when you walk, you only leave a crooked line there. And you don't see the trouble that's brewing, if all you do is just what you're doing.
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal road, barefaced lies.
Is this where you wanna be? Debt and childhood poverty. Won't somebody set us free from this corrupt kleptocracy? Oh yeah. Barefaced lies.
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal road, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them. On the 20th of November 2003, James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon was elected councillor for the Failsworth East Ward of Oldham. Deeply ambitious, he ruthlessly rose to power, and by 2011, he was already leader of the council. In 2015, exploiting a Labour Party loophole, he became MP for Oldham West and Royton. If only the people of the town knew then what they now know. Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them. Very, very good evening. Tuesday, the 27th of May, 2025. I've got 2027 in my head for some reason. No, not yet. Not quite yet. My name is Raja Miah. This is a Recusant 9 transmission. We're all over the place at the moment. Normally we're just on a Sunday night, but I'm busy. I did manage Sunday. I was hoping to come yesterday, but I had friends of mine in Liverpool when the car piled in, and I think it was Gary Tarbuck who messaged me. to say, are you in Liverpool? And my family members started messaging me. I was on my way, but I didn't get there. In fact, I went to the game on Sunday, but I didn't get to the parade. But I know Moyib and a few of my friends had gone to the parade, so that's where I was busy, I'm afraid. The lights are getting there, I think, Gary. We've got more lights yet to come. This was a next offer, but we've got a full set of proper studio type lights coming in from Amazon tomorrow. I think I mentioned to you I was going to buy some stuff on the credit card, and there's some more curtains to come for the background behind me still. But we're getting there, I think, slowly but surely. It is half term where I live, for those of you who have children or grandchildren. So my plan is to be away this coming week. So from Friday, Saturday onwards till the following Saturday or so. So there will be very little work. There won't be a transmission. There won't be a transmission on Sunday, and I hope to be back next Sunday. But in between, whilst I'm away, I do take my computer, my laptop, my phone, that does as a camera. So I am hoping we will be for a full transmission next Sunday. I'm hoping to sneak one in on Thursday night. In fact, I will sneak a transmission in on Thursday night. I've had sight of an interesting letter from the Home Office as to why they're not supporting public inquiries, why they're not supporting national inquiries. So I will methodically work through that on Thursday night with you. Now, I have had a couple of messages in response to this that I put up. So I'll share this here now, which is, in fact, I did it in a better way. There you go, that should be better. This that I put up, which is a picture of my friend Warren Bates. It was the last council meeting he attended. It's the last time I saw him before I went and sat next to him at his what was his deathbed, essentially. No, essentially was his deathbed at Oldham Hospital. He made it to the council meeting, even though he was at this point terminally ill, very ill. Hadn't told anyone how ill he was. And yeah, he had cancer, very late stage cancer. So I put this up, and these are my points. Now, a few people have got in touch with me very angry. I owe no one anything, least of all Reform, Conservatives, the Labour Party, no one. I owe no one anything. I have been working in the way I've been working for the last 6 years. No one goes into a prison cell with me. No one is locked up with me. No one endures what I endure. And no one has been backstabbed a number of times. I have. So these are my conditions, essentially, for the people of Oldham. I have no need, if I'm honest with you, to work in Oldham anymore in the way I have been doing, to do with the corruption and the cover-ups and the criminality. You're not followed home. I'm the one that's followed home. You're not the one that's arrested. I'm the one that's arrested. You're not the one who can't take your children or grandchildren anywhere. That is me. And every council, every politician who's been elected that I supported, I will, in the main, I've been backstabbed by. So I've been getting a whole host of calls about what we're going to do next year, the year after. I'm clearly very busy at this moment in time. Not because I want to be, but I am. And I can squeeze this in. I can work in Oldham. I can continue to work in Oldham. But these are my conditions. As of yet, not a single councillor, not a single politician has got back in touch with me. The only person who has got back in touch with me officially on this thread is Robert Barnes. So that's where we're up to. I'll read this for you, so you're very clear what my position is and what my demands are, and you can decide if I'm being selfish or not. Indeed, Gary. And I remember, you back me, mate, but you remember yourself what it was like when Labour Party lawyers sent letters to you, essentially threatening to take your family home off you. So welcome to my world. So this is my position, and I will read it so there's no ambiguity, and you can decide if I'm being selfish or where the selfishness for me is. This is the choice Oldham now faces. The return of Arud Shah, backed by gangster endorsements and propped up by the treacherous Hobin and Hince, bringing back to the very culture and political sleaze and intimidation we fought so hard to expose and remove, should have added. 2. The rise of Pakistani sectarianism through Cameron Gaffar's Oldham group, anchored by an Islamist voter base and driven by the self-interest of a HMO slum landlord. 3. A scattered collection of independent councillors, well-meaning at best, but all politically irrelevant, mute in the council chamber and utterly incapable of influencing the borough's future. 4. A dying Conservative Party and a spineless Liberal Democrat group, neither with the numbers nor the courage to lead Oldham out of this crisis. 5. And reform? Question mark. The local Facebook page is a cesspit of racism and keyboard bravado. Behind the scenes, their interim leadership has blocked branch elections, cancelling the AGM and resisting calls from paid members to democratise the local structure. I'm not lying here. That's the truth of what's took place. The truth is, reform in Oldham is less a political force and more a closed shop run by a millionaire from the failed Proud of Oldham and Saddleworth party, which failed to win a single election. But there is a way through this. We can remove Arud Shah, we can protect Oldham from both Islamist infiltration and far-right delusion, but it will take 3 years and a focused, relentless campaign to take control of the council. My services are available. Remember, I don't charge for any of this. My services are available, but this time there will be no fighting from the shadows. If I lead, I lead with clear terms. In return for my leadership, I expect cross-party and independent support for the following motions to be passed at full council once we hold power. So these are the promises I am asking of people if you want my help. 1. A formal letter to the Home Secretary demanding a public inquiry into the corruption festering in Oldham, including the infiltration of the council by Pakistani gangsters and Islamists. A formal letter, number 2, a formal letter to Andy Burnham in his capacity as Police and Crime Commissioner, demanding a full investigation into Operation Hexagon and the politically motivated misuse of police resources to target citizens who exposed the grooming gang scandal. 3. An immediate commissioning of forensic auditors tasked with investigating council finances, including the disposal of public assets and the distribution of grants and contracts to individuals linked to senior politicians and council officers. And finally, something personal. A statue of Warren Bates, the last man in the council who stood for the people without fear, to be commissioned and placed in the public gallery of the planned new council chamber. Let it serve as a reminder of what leadership should look like. These are my terms. This is the path forward. I will not involve myself in any politics in Oldham with any councillor, prospective councillor or political party that fails to openly commit to these terms. As for the people of Oldham, the choice is simple. Support me or surrender. And I finish by saying, let's see how many people, how many of my townsfolk dare share this post. And of course, minimal have. It's at 145 shares, which for my sort of work is very minimal. So, to the opposition councillors and would-be councillors, those are my terms. For the next 3 years, I will lead, I will coordinate. You can see for nothing for myself, Terry. So we clear, you can see? Nothing, I'm asking nothing for me. So if you want my support, or you can be deluded enough to think that just because reform are on the crest of a wave, it'll all be plain sailing and they'll take like this in Oldham. I've spoken with Councillor Lewis Quigg. And I am of the opinion that I think you will see moves from Lewis in the next 4 weeks or so. And I keep hearing this about Tommy Robinson. You need to listen to me, guys. You need to listen to me. I think I've been more than fair in how I have spoken about Tommy Robinson. Looking to me to work with Tommy Robinson, you're looking in the wrong place. I am already considered to be on the fringes and on the margins. What Tommy Robinson needs is not someone like me. What Tommy Robinson needs is Maggie Oliver, who's accepted in the mainstream. What Tommy Robinson needs is some of the Conservatives who are now coming out and mirroring some of the things he spoke about to give him or recognise that he was a political prisoner. And likewise, what Tommy Robinson needs is reform or even Rupert Lowe to give him some airtime. Putting pressure on me is not going to get us anywhere. I'm an honest man, I think you can see that. I don't talk around issues. And indeed, he has his own team. I'm very much looking forward to seeing if and how he portrays himself, how his language is. And I wish him well. And as a family man, I hope he gets to spend some time with his children. And I know, is it a Daily Mail who are trying to have him put in prison, or some reporters? I hope him well with that as well. So that's where I'm up to. Okay. Thank you for the super chat. It's the first of my day. And it's not my work, Terry. I'm happy for people to take it. People have took it, claimed it as their own. Chat GPT, GWT, whatever it's called, is amazing, isn't it? You can take people's work. And I read some stuff that people put on. I thought, well, I wrote that. It's just been tweaked. But you know what? I let that go a long time ago. The more people that do this work, and the more angles they come from, the better. But I'm not him, Julie. I'm not brash. I don't have an entourage. It's not my style. And I'll be honest with you. The more I look at this, and I've just read out a statement about the next 3 years. If I have a political journey, and I don't want to focus on it, but if I have a political journey, it will be to stand as a candidate at the next general election. So, I've got to navigate my path towards that as well. But I genuinely think that the likes of Maggie Oliver, the Reform team, some of the Conservatives, they need to sit down with Tommy Robinson and his team. Because that's where he will be vindicated, if he wants vindication. Me is not going to make any difference. Thank you. And as for Melvin, you don't know me. If you knew me, you wouldn't ask a question like that. If I looked in the world that way, I wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be here, and none of you would know about any of this. You'd still be fighting it out as though it's some sort of far-right conspiracy. Or supporting Maggie Oliver and that niche of feeling sorry for the survivors. We're already more than holding our own against Andy Burnham and all the others. If you're finding value, please, I always check. And I check because so few do it. I'll show you something. I'll bring it up. This was my engagement figures just over the last 7 days of how many people watched the live transmissions. Our subscriber numbers are still pitifully low and just, a trickle at best. So please, and of course the work is free. The work is free. It's entirely up to people if they want to contribute. The work is free. We haven't got 13,000 people anywhere near. So that's the webpage, redwallandrabble.co.uk. Please do take a moment to sign up. And if you can afford to pay me £3 a month or £30 and be done with it, it makes a massive difference to me. I'm 100% community funded. And if you are feeling generous or you just want to do something one-off, those are the links, buymeacoffee.com/ReckySt9, or you can PayPal me. I agree with you. We all have our different spaces. And I genuinely, and it's my hope, I think I've shared it with you all, that he represents 1 million people, and if not more, into being other than some street protest. You know what they are going to do against us. I know what they were going to do against me. So if you know what they're going to do against you, You don't play into their hands. You use it to your advantage. You maneuver. You navigate. We'll see. I hope it doesn't just go back to the days of street protesting, because I believe it's more than that. And I've met some of the people like Liam and that, and I think they're much more than that, much more capable. Much more capable. The independents in Oldham are dead. So I wouldn't even worry about the independents. The independents in Oldham are dead. Chris, you know what I did? Apart from the lighting, I realised when I turned it, I got this light arrived, and I realised there's something called a white balance button on my camera with these grey cards that I got. So I set the white balance. Okay, we've got some work to go through, if we don't mind. A council meeting, I'm not going to play all of it, I'm going to play segments of it. But I want to pull out some of the corruption and sleaze. And for those of you who have asked, I've also got the email that Brian Hoban supposedly received. Loading it up. Just give me 1 second.
Withdrawals in London and Belgium. Check the PDF I sent you over Signal. 2 days
That Councillor Hoban be appointed as Deputy Mayor.
4.2.
Thank you.
Since then, it's a flurry of activity.
Thank you, Mr.
Councillor
Mayor.
Hindle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And congratulations on your new role.
It's a second amendment.
Did you call him?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and congratulations once again. There is a 50-year custom at this council that we alternate the appointment of deputy mayor. We did the right thing back then on the clear understanding it would be our turn this year, and now those with no honour are breaking their word. That's why we're nominating Liberal Democrat councillor Alicia Marland. Today should really be about recognising her service to the people of Saddleworth and Lees, the commitment she has made to campaigning in support for the elderly, and through her involvement in local luncheon clubs, to name just 2 things, and her tireless campaign for safer streets and cleaner air. But the reality is Councillor Marland is being snubbed, isn't she? Today we're seeing the office of the Deputy Mayor being dragged into the Labour Party's grubby deal with their so-called independent allies. Let's call it what it is, a grubby political handout for an office that is supposed to be politically neutral. I've nothing against Brian Hoban, but the only reason he's been nominated today is because Councillor Shah and the Labour group need his vote to stay in power. He's the administration's candidate. Anyone who believes a word to the contrary is insulting their own intelligence. And this matters. It matters because the council's reputation is in tatters. People's trust in this place is in the gutter. But despite that, the office of Mayor, as we've just heard, and Deputy Mayor still holds a place of immense respect and value in our civic life and community. That's because of the good work of previous mayors of our borough of all parties.
That's the camera I want, sorry. So what you've got there is Howard Sykes standing up and saying, grubby political handout. So he's already saying that Brian Hoban has been put forward for Deputy Mayor by Arood Shah, which breaks tradition of it being a non-political role and there being a point system and people taking turns. So Brian Hoban is already taking a bribe. According to Howard Sykes, the leader of the opposition, it's a bribe. In exchange for Brian Hoban and Hindle's vote and for Hinds and Naves' vote, who seconded Hoban's nomination, in exchange for that, Brian Hoban is being made Deputy Mayor, which means ordinarily he would be automatic Mayor next year. So that's what that means. Okay, let me carry on.
Withdrawals in London and Belgium. Check the PDF I sent you over Signal.
Please sit down.
To speak because I didn't want to bring the facade that others are used to bring into this chamber in this section, but I am going to I have reason to state some facts. Before I do so, I want to apologise to Councillor Hoban and his family because this should have been an enjoyable moment for them, but also to Councillor Elsie Marlin because I don't know her personally. I have nothing against her, and she always carries herself in a dignified way, so nothing personal in that. But I am going to share some facts. So firstly, I think it's really disrespectful in front of the outgoing mayor for the leader of the Lib Dems to do what he's made quite a habit of and misrepresent the truth. It is not true last year that he waived his right. For the last 3 years, the Liberal Democrats have refused to put anyone forward. They've not presented a single nomination. The second fact, in the group leaders meeting, which you weren't there, and when I say you weren't there, I'm referring to the outgoing mayor, when you weren't there, Councillor Hoban came to that meeting, as did Councillor Hinds, as did Councillor Sykes, as did Councillor Arnott, and as did Councillor Wahid on behalf of subbing for Councillor Gafoor. When that meeting was being conducted downstairs and there was council officers there, in that meeting, Councillor Hoban had said that given exactly the arguments that you've heard from the independents today, that there has been, that it needs to change, and that they actually, in that meeting, openly, in front of all the colleagues that I've mentioned, said that Councillor Hoban had been approached by Councillor Gafoor as would he like the position of Deputy Mayor because we're going to challenge a motion of no confidence at the council meeting, at the annual council meeting. We're going to be presenting a motion of no confidence, and would you, Brian Hoban, would you like to be chair? Would you like any position that you want? I will give you a certain amount of money for your ward. He said the same to Councillor Hindle. I will give you a certain, are you interested in these positions? Now, when Councillor Hoban approached me about the nomination, about being mayor, what I said to Councillor Hoban was, given that there has been a situation where there has been an agreement that I've always honoured, I wasn't here 50 years ago. I'm not aware of a gentleman agreement, and there's something that we have to learn today. Gentlemen shouldn't get in a room, make any kind of agreements, because that is what's created the chaos today. So when Councillor Hoban was approached by Councillor Gafoor, he was offered the deputy mayoralship. Councillor Hoban then said openly in front of all the colleagues that I mentioned in the room that I was approached by Councillor Gafoor, to which Councillor Arnott's response was it being offered to everybody in Sundry? Because I was given the same, I was offered the same position by Councillor Gafoor. Councillor Arnott declared that in that meeting. Based on that, the only point that I made was, well, actually, if you are all doing these background conversations, moving a motion of no confidence is people are entitled to do it for whatever reason. And I will even state that fact. The only reason Councillor Gafoor is obsessed and continues to bring motions of no confidence is because he is used to using his money, his power and influence to control people. He has no money that will influence me, no power over me. But the reality is...
I think that's enough. Mr Mayor, I think that's enough. That is disgraceful. You know, she's trying to say that I'm bribing people.
I'll give you a right to reply in a minute.
Mr Mayor, though, I think she's continued. She's getting very, very personal, and I can get very, very personal as well. And she needs to understand, and she needs to sit down and get her head in the right place.
Please sit down, Councillor Sharp, please.
Can I have a right of reply, please, Mr Mayor?
We'll give you the right to reply, and then we will be going to the vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
withdrawals in London and Belgium. Check the PDF I sent you over Signal.
That's better, but I need a different camera on that. How can I do that? Sorry, you just have to bear with me.
Withdrawals in London and Belgium. Check the PDF I sent you over Signal.
Okay, so before we continue, you'll just have to bear with me whilst I find the right bits each time I switch scenes on this. Before we continue, what's just took place is Arud Shah, when responding to Howard Sykes, tried to play the misogyny card. Of course, it was nonsense, because the first mayor to benefit from that arrangement was a woman. But you know, what's details got to matter with when it comes to the gangster-affiliated council leader Arud Shah, or the truth even. So there has been an agreement in the town that the mayor's role should be non-political, and it's a points-based system, and that's how you appoint the deputy mayor. Now, what's very clear is that not only has Arud Shah outmaneuvered Cameron Gaffer and the Liberal Democrats, not only have they outmaneuvered him, what has took place is she's bribed him with the position. And then what she's saying is, well, what's the problem? Cameron Gaffer's been trying to bribe people with positions as well. I'm just better at it. But this is where it gets sinister for me. In a leaders' meeting, and she makes reference to Councillor Dave Arnott as one of the leaders. He was a Conservative leader for a short period, so that would have been at least 3 months ago or so. In a leaders' meeting, there's a discussion of how Cameron Gaffer's apparently allegedly been offering positions, and Dave Arnott confirms he was offered a bribe. Now, if Dave Arnott, the leader of the Conservatives at the time, now an independent by the way, after he got caught propping up Shelley Kipling and lying to me, if Dave Arnott is saying he was offered a bribe whilst he was the leader of the Conservatives by a Pakistani sectarian, why have the Conservatives not issued that statement? I expect Hints and Hoban to be in the pockets of Shah. But why has the leader of the Conservatives at the time not issued a statement, and where is the Conservatives Party's statement now? Is this normal behaviour? Being bribed? How much money do you want? What positions do you want? And I'm not using the word bribe. Cameron Gaffer himself used the word bribe, and Arud Shah made the allegations of bribery. No amount of money. Yeah? I've not made any of that up, have I? Here we go.
Withdrawals in London and Belgium. Check the...
make any kind of agreements, because that is what's created the chaos today. So when Councillor Hoban was approached by Councillor Gaffer, he was offered the deputy mayoralship. Councillor Hoban then said openly in front of all the colleagues that I mentioned in the room that I was approached by Councillor Gaffer, to which Councillor Arnott's response was it being offered to everybody in sundry? Because I was given the same, I was offered the same position by Councillor Gaffer. Councillor Arnott declared that in that meeting. Based on that, the only point that I made was, well, actually, if you are all doing these background conversations, moving a motion of no confidence is people are entitled to do it for whatever reason. And I will even state that fact. The only reason Councillor Gafford is obsessed and continues to bring motions of no confidence is because he is used to using his money, his power and influence to control people. He has no money that will influence me, no power over me. But the reality is...
I think that's enough. Mr Mayor, I think that's enough. That is disgraceful. You know, she's trying to say that I'm bribing people.
I'll give you a right to reply in a minute.
Mr Mayor, though, I think she's continued. She's getting very, very personal, and I can get very, very personal as well. And she needs to understand, and she needs to sit down and get her head in the right place.
Please sit down, Councillor Sharp, please.
Can I have a right of reply, please, Mr Mayor?
We'll give you the right to reply, and then we will be going to the vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Right, Councillor Shah, let me tell you this. Who the hell am I to give anybody a deputy mayorship or a chairmanship? These discussions always happen when you do these things because we have to bring people together to get rid of this incompetent Labour administration. So you know what? No, I've admitted what? That I've given him what? How the hell am I supposed to give Councillor Hoban a deputy mayorship when I've got no power at all? You are the only one with the power. You are the one. Sorry,
please
Mr Mayor.
sit down.
You know, Mr Mayor, she just goes way beyond. She goes way beyond, Mr.
This
This is the problem with this council. This is the problem with this council, and this is the problem with this leadership.
Sit down, please.
I can't swear. I'm told I've got to be more polite. Sat next to Eddie Moores, who voted I don't know how many times to help cover up the gang rape of children, who was a councillor whilst our children were being gang raped, and now mayor. That's who Eddie Moores is. Also governor of a school, North Chadderton, isn't it, Eddie Moores? Well, I'm looking forward to the inquiry that comes. That will have to investigate schools, and we'll see how many children were gang raped from North Chadderton School. Sat next to Moores, and talking about bribery and corruption, is the interim borough solicitor, interim because he's not been interviewed properly, Alexander Bogatoff, bent backdoor appointment, who secured his position because he volunteered to try and take an injunction out against me, tens of thousands of pounds of your money spent, apparently using the term samosa nibbler, constitutes legal action. Well, that baby oil, yeah, he describes himself as a former male model. That baby oil Bogatoff is a bent backdoor appointment. And the previous borough solicitor has quit early with what? An NDA with £250,000 attached to it. And sat next to him is the new chief executive, was the interim chief executive that they had to interview for because they couldn't appoint her through a backdoor process because the local government association or someone got involved. And even then they rigged the appointment with the likes of Dave, I'm your mate Arnott, lying to me as a conservative, Luke Lancaster, Matt Woodbine, all backing up Shelley Kipling, Howard Sykes, all backing her up, and now you're angry. Well, that was corruption as well. You're all bloody corrupt in there. Well, all's an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. There's not one party in there with clean hands. Well, perhaps, Sheila, you should drop the head teacher an email and ask him if he would like to confirm there's never been any grooming gang cover-ups out of North Chadderton School. So it's all coming out now, isn't it? And that was over the appointment of the deputy mayor. And remember, the deputy mayor, Brian Hoban, is a convicted fraudster. He swindled old women out of their savings. Some sort of insurance scam. Took money and went and gambled it away. A 2-year suspended sentence, I think. Has he declared that to the people of Failsworth? Thank you, Robert. I spent happy years in Leeds in my younger days, Robert. I worked in Chapeltown in the 90s. Eric Cantona was playing for you guys at the time. So that's the first bit. And Dave Arnott there clearly referenced in a meeting he was offered positions. Did he share that with his Conservative colleagues? Bribery. It's infested with corruption, isn't it? And you can see it there. It's infested with corruption. If you find value, if you're one of the just under 1,000 watching, please consider buying me a coffee or subscribing to Redwall and the Rabble. You can subscribe for free, or it costs you £30 or £3 for the year, for the month, sorry. £30 for the year. Pennies to you. 75 pence a week is the equivalent. Pennies. I know you take value in this because tens of thousands of you watch this. If a fraction of you supported me, then I wouldn't have to keep asking. Our subscription numbers are still pitifully low. And that's why I keep asking every day. And this is the link to buy me a coffee. And I've still not set that up to, I thought I'd set it up to get rid of the comments going off after a few seconds, but it's not done it yet. Thank you. It is, isn't it? DBS checks. DBS checks, as we've confirmed through asking questions in the council, are voluntary. No one has to do a DBS check. They're voluntary. If you're a councillor, you can be sat in a room with a child and it's voluntary. Let me put my headphones on.
Withdrawals in London and Belgium.
Councillor Mushtaq.
Of interest. Are there any declarations of interest from members?
Congratulate you and Kath on your new role. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jabbar.
Moved, Mr. Mayor, but can I reserve right to speak, please?
So I'll quickly move on now.
Thank you. We have an amendment. Can I call on Councillor Ghaffur to move and Councillor Waheed to second the amendment? As we've all got copies, haven't we, of the amendment? Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Fellow councillors, firstly, I'd like to apologise to the Chamber for my outburst before. It's not nice to be called somebody who would bribe people to come on their side. So I'll quickly move on now. But fellow councillors, today I'm going to speak plainly. This Labour administration has failed Oldham. They have taken the people of this town granted for far too long. I've said it before and I'm saying it again. And now it's time to hold them accountable. I stood here in April and made a call for every independent voice, every councillor who puts Oldham before politics, to stand together and end this charade. And today, the moment is here. This Labour administration does not listen. Not to this chamber, not to the residents, not to the people they claim to serve. take places for everyone. This council voted to withdraw. That was democracy. That was the will of the people. But what did Labour do? They ignored it. They ignored you, the councillors, every single one of you. They ignored them, the residents. They made sure their voices were not heard. That is not leadership. That is arrogance. That is contempt for democracy. Let me make this absolutely clear. This really isn't just about me. This is not about the Oldham group. You may laugh, but it's not. This is about every person in this borough who's been ignored, overlooked and let down. We don't need vanity projects and press releases. We don't need Labour councillors patting each other on the back while bin collections go uncollected, potholes swallow our roads and alleys turn into dumping grounds. We need action. We need basics. We need to fix the fundamentals that Labour has not allowed to rot. And while they focus on spin and show, community buildings are allegedly being handed to friends and private interest behind closed doors. That is not public service. That is political favouritism. That is a disgrace. Let me also say this. The opposition councillors sitting here today come from every part of Oldham. We come from different communities, different walks of life, and different political traditions. But we are united by one thing, our commitment to the people of this borough. We are not career politicians. We are not controlled by party bosses in London. We are not in this for titles or promises. We are local. We are principled. We are independent. And make no mistake, we are better suited to deal with the real issues facing Oldham than this tired, out-of-touch Labour administration. We have more talent, more diversity and more vision. We have the voices of real people from every corner of this borough. And more importantly, we have the courage to do what is right. Last year, the people of Oldham voted for change. They gave us a mandate. But instead of respecting the people's will, Labour clung on to power through backroom deals and political games. That is betrayal, nothing less. But here today, every single opposition councillor has a chance to set things right. I'm talking to you, Councillor Hints, to you, Councillor Navesey, to you, Councillor Hindle, and to you, Councillor Hobin. Prove to us that you haven't been given the deputy mayorship just because you're going to be voting with Labour. Do the right thing. This isn't about party lines anymore. This is about what is right and what is wrong. Are you here to serve your community or serve your career? Are you here for the people of Oldham or are you here for the perks? Because the truth is, this Labour Council isn't even run from Oldham. The Manchester Evening News said it. It's Westminster that calls the shots. And that is the greatest insult of all. Local people...
Thank you, Councillor Gafour. That's your time.
No, it's not. Move extension, please. Local people shut out from decisions about their own town. Oldham belongs to Oldhamers. It's time we gave this town back to the people, not to London, not to Labour HQ, but to the streets of Colders, Chadderton, Failsworth, Saddleworth, Royton, Shaw, St Mary's, every single corner of this borough. St James as well, sorry Beth. This is your moment. So, come to up. It's still got the green light on there. You've just taken it off. It's your moment. Show the residents, councillors, and do the right thing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And firstly, I'd like to...
Okay, I'm not interested in listening to Abdul Wahid and his chat GPT nonsense. His brother is a convicted drug dealer. Isn't that true, Abdul? Councillor Wahid. I'm not interested in the HMO, slum landlord. Oh, is he going to sue me? He can't sue me. He got accused of being a slum landlord essentially in the council chamber by one of the Labour Party councillors who read out his convictions, Cameron Gaffors. So, that's his speech. He talks about community buildings. I want you to remember that. I'll show you a quick story, but I want you to remember that. When Arood Shah first became councillor in Oldham, on St Mary's, she was, Glodick Way, there was a swimming baths called the Glodick Baths. We exposed through freedom of information requests, how Arud Shah, McMahon I think at the time as well, was involved in its sale to an organisation called the Ghazali Trust at mates rates. Not only that, the transfer took place in the lead up to the local elections during a period called Purdah. Purdah is a time frame in the calendar when no deals can be done, for it might infringe or make it look as though it's a bribe impacting upon an election. We proved that bribe took place. Freedom of information requests, all of that. We forced it out of the council. Took many months. Arud Shah was involved. The Ghazali Trust controlled lots of votes. They posted online how powerful they were in the community in the lead up to the election. Took it to the police, Greater Manchester Police, Andy Burnham's police. Andy Burnham should be in prison. And many of his police officers should also be in prison. This is what a rotten borough looks like. A rotten borough cannot be rotten without the complicity of Greater Manchester Police. The police, when I reported it as a crime, came back to me and said they spoke to the chief executive and someone else involved in the council, and they said everything's okay. And they just accepted that. Can you imagine if he spoke to someone who gangs rape children and said, no, I'm just giving them ice creams. And they go home happy. Do you believe that is a sufficient level of investigation? It isn't. Because Burnham's police are involved in the cover-up and the criminality that infests Oldham, so much so that they failed to investigate with any level of scrutiny clear evidence of corruption of an attempt by a councillor to rig an election. The Ghazali Trust now own Glodick swimming baths at knockdown mates rates prices. McMahon has been pictured repeatedly with a man called Mohibur Rahman. Mohibur Rahman went on to buy at mates rates prices a number of buildings, the Chadderton police station being one, but the one that offends me is Chadderton Library. It's one of the few libraries in this country that was a Carnegie library. It was funded as part of that philanthropic period, and we had a Carnegie library in Chadderton. It's now some sort of dodgy Islamic centre. I'm not joking. Again, sold at mates rates. Go and have a look at Werneth Hall Road. There was a centre on Werneth Hall Road, a women's centre, a girls' centre. It was the Marjorie Lee's family. Gave so much away to the town. Left so much in trust to the town. The council disposed of that to some Pakistani bloke for a couple of £100,000. He's just given it a spruce and it's on the market for £800,000. Go and have a look at land in Werneth and how it was sold. I think £80,000. It was worth £5 million. And in a subsequent land swap deal with the guy who bought it, we now have multiple councillors who've built mansions on land linked to this. Cameron Gaffer knows all about this. The only reason he's now commenting is because the Pakistani Community Centre in Glodick was handed over by Irish Yemi and Arud Shah to some of their mates, so they'll get some votes there. And this is why I tell off my white friends. And I don't do it in a racist way. I do it in a way that I just find disbelief. How cheap are you? These people are getting some of the biggest assets in this town, and you're arguing over, oh, I get to be deputy mayor, and I'll get to be part of a committee where I'll get a £7,000 pay rise. How cheap are you? The town is infested with corruption. The town is infested with corruption. And Gaffer makes reference to community buildings. Let me get Arud Shah and a couple of the responses up.
Withdrawals in London and Belgium.
Date.
I've had indications of people who wish to speak. Councillor Landani.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and on a personal level, I think you'll do a wonderful job as the Mayor, and I'm proud to have you there. So I'm a football fan, and one of the things you often hear about owners, we had one owner here, you get some good owners, but you get some not so good owners. As a City fan, we've had our fair share of not so good owners in the past. And one thing that always gets said about those owners is that they're a custodian of the club and that the club belongs to the fans. They're just there in the meantime, and it's their job to make sure that that institution goes on for the people. And I think that comparison stands for the leadership of the council. If you're the leader of the council, if you're the administration of the council,
alternative has disintegrated even more, to such an extent they're openly row in this chamber amongst themselves. That is not the kind of future I want for this chamber. The thing that did it for us, the big test, was they couldn't even come together to form a single budget. At first we had the Lib Dems with their let's cancel mileage and save the council scheme. We had the Oldham groups plan to turn the Civic Centre into the biggest HMO going. And then we had the Conservatives who wanted to get rid of hard-working council offices to fund £1.5 million towards a private shopping precinct in Royton. Now, that's what was in your budget.
Carry on,
Now, what I would say is, it's just rude, isn't it? It's just rude. Now, what I would say is, I didn't know Arud Shah. All I heard was the misrepresentations and hate speech out there on social media. But I believe, having known her for 12 months, she is the most hard-working individual in this chamber. She donates most of her life for the benefit of the people of Oldham. Even if you disagree with her policies, she's here till 10 o'clock at the night. She has hardly any social life. Sorry, Aruj, but that's a fact. All in the service of this council. So to personalise this, which certain members tried to do, I think it's disrespectful. So we will once again be supporting the beneficial working arrangement for the people of Shaw and Crompton at the vote. Thank you.
Councillor Shuttleworth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just picked up on a couple of the notes that Councillor Gtr made in his introduction, and he made reference to buildings being handed to friends. Well, I don't know anything about any buildings being handed to friends. What I do know is that your group wanted a piece of land being handed over, being gifted, for a graveyard. Allow me to finish. I didn't interrupt you. And also what I find, we talk about grubby deals. Well, in 2010, the Liberals went into what you could call a grubby deal with the Conservatives. Well, the Liberals and Labour both had 27 seats, the same as we have now. Now, if Councillor Sykes found it appropriate for him to continue as leader with 27 seats, then Councillor Shah has the right to lead this council when we have 27 seats. Those who decide who the administration is are the residents. It's at the ballot box that counts, not what individual has to say in terms of their seeking of power. And if you look at the figures last year at the ballot box, Labour had 17,178. The next one was, I think, the Liberal Democrats, 8,401. And I think the Conservatives near 8,000. The Oldham group had 13,240. But 3 of those wards accounted for 56.15% of that total. And one of those, sadly, was a former Labour councillor who called it quits at the last minute. What is also distasteful when it comes to a vote of confidence is making contact with Labour Party members and former councillors, trying to stir them up to speak out against the current leader. I received a phone call on Sunday before anybody accusing me of making stories up. I received a phone call on Sunday from that individual. Now, when Councillor Alan Darney talks about PFE and the way this council voted. Don't let's forget one of your own sat there and said, oh, just phone Angela up afterwards and tell her a letter's coming, just bin it. That was the view that was expressed. And therefore, you need to decide what you're with. You're either for it or against it.
Sorry, I was chatting to myself earlier whilst I was showing the screens. Clearly, when I'm talking, it doesn't come through whilst the screen's on. He's just deflecting. He doesn't know anything about any dodgy land deals. And he says, oh, and you wanted some money gifted for a cemetery. He stood up and said that. And I'm not for a Muslim cemetery, by the way. I believe, we should bury our people together, but that's a different conversation for a different day. What he ignores is this council has given £1 million to Frank Rothwell, Arood Shah's buddy, for the grass on Oldham Lattick's page, and another £5 million for something else. I'm not joking. All of this is documented. This council is neck deep in cover-up and sleaze. Now it gets really interesting when Councillor Elaine Taylor takes to the stand and talks, and I'll bring that up in a second. But please, the more I do these transmissions, the less I value doing them. I think in terms of engagement with my work, in terms of returns for sign-ups and support, even the free memberships, I'm better off spending time on X or on Facebook putting updates as to what, and people can read them in their own time, because every time I do this, I get very, very little in terms of return. There is 1,335 of you here, if anyone's wondering what the numbers are. My ask is simple. Sign up to the webpage. You're all here. There's a reason you're all here. Sign up to the webpage. It costs you nothing. You can pay if you want, but it costs you nothing. And if you're finding entertainment in this, or value of some sort, then buy me a coffee. But signing up to the webpage is a nothing ask. Let's carry on.
Withdrawals in London and Belgium. Check the...
Oh, sorry. Keep getting that.
Talking to you, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So, Councillor Gafford started off by talking about not making this personal. He talked about not making it about him. But it's almost a year to the day since Councillor Gafford stood up in this chamber and told all of us exactly the opposite. He said that he intended to make it personal when it came to Arood Shah's leadership. And that is exactly what this amendment is about. Nothing more and nothing less. And obviously, in terms of some of the comments that have already been made, we've talked a little bit about the Oldham Group, the fact that they consist of just 9 councillors. And in reality, you have no pathway to govern. And obviously from this amendment, you also have no serious plan to lead. This isn't a proposal for any form of progress. It's just a political stunt. And we've already heard about some of the unsavoury tactics that have been used to back this up. What I can say is, in the run-up to this meeting, Oldham Group haven't offered up any credible policy ideas, and we don't know what you stand for, other than you're anti-Arood, obviously. The amendment is completely devoid. The amendment is before us for all to see, and this amendment is completely devoid of any concrete proposals, and it offers no clear alternative position. Now, Abdul has already talked at length about your lack to bring forward anything concrete for the budget, but the only thing that I can confidently say, following that budget meeting in March, is that the Oldham Group would be quite happy to set up the largest HMO in England in the Civic Tower, and that is quite frankly not our administration aspiration, and it is not what we want to see for the borough or for our residents. And I do appreciate that personal ambition in politics isn't unusual, but I think this amendment shows that the Oldham Group is more interested in game playing than supporting the people of our borough. Why should we believe that Councillor Gafford would put the residents of Oldham first when he didn't do that with his own tenants? And, you know, you talk about integrity, honesty, openness. So let us be honest and open, because we cannot hide from the facts. And the facts are, Councillor Gafford, that you pled guilty to an offence under Section 30 of the Housing Act for renting out a property that was unfit to live in. Last year, Councillor Gafford... Well, it's not personal, it's fact, it's on record. This is somebody who was putting in... Mr Mayor, I am responding to the points that was made, and the points that were made were talking about honesty, openness and integrity. And I think it is fair that I can respond to those points, Councillor Wilkinson. And that is on record. It is a matter of public record. But, you know, there's plenty of facts that are on public record. So last year, Councillor Gafford argued against the expansion of the selective licensing scheme, a scheme that was put in place to improve tenants' rights and to clamp down on rogue landlords who don't do what they should be doing. So is that in public interest, or is that in self-interest? Because I wouldn't know, because, to be honest, his register of interests is totally redacted. So we don't know what his register of interests say. But what I can also say, no, because, you know, people want an honest discussion.
Point of order, Mr Mayor. You've given longer to Councillor Taylor than you have me, and I was the one that proposed the amendment.
Councillor Quigg, will you stop interrupting, please? No, well, you could have fooled me, thank you. The only fool here might be somebody who's talking before.
Look, Mr Mayor, I will move on, but I do think it is important to get this in the public domain. And I do think it's important that if we want to have honesty, openness and transparency in this chamber, then we are allowed to actually state the facts. And so I will finish on this, because only a few weeks ago...
Excuse me again, Councillor Taylor. Could the Conservative group not be having private conversations while people are speaking? It's ignorant. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for that vote of confidence, Councillor Woodvine.
I will tell other groups as well when I am ready.
Well, I think you're voting against because you've got an alternative agenda that isn't in the interests of our residents. Well, actually, if you want to vote for somebody to be leader of this council, who only a few weeks ago we had to remove 16 adults and 8 children from one of his properties because of the conditions he was living in, then you absolutely
Can I have a right of reply now, Mr Mayor, please? Yeah, Mr Mayor. You know, to be honest with you, Councillor, she's going on longer.
I said I'm responding to Councillor Woodvine. I said that I wouldn't raise any more points. Oh. Well, actually, Mr Mayor, I'm responding to people. People keep shouting out. I'm trying to be fair to everybody.
No, you're not.
Really? I mean, not liking what I say doesn't mean I'm not being fair, Mr Mayor. I'm responding to the points that are being shouted at me across the chamber. I will refrain from making any more comments on this matter, but could I also ask people to stop shouting across the chamber? Thank you. But what we're discussing is important, because actually, if you're going to lead this council...
I'm hoping you can hear me. So I've got it paused, and I'm hoping you can hear me. So press the button, so this should be working. So please, someone say who's up to date and watching up to date that you can hear me, and I will bring something else to attention. You can hear me, perfect. You can see at the bottom there with his Lego hair. Is it just for men, or I don't know what he uses? Is Councillor Shahid Mushtaq. You can see the top of his head. Councillor Shahid Mushtaq was also involved in a dodgy land deal with his brothers, where land south of Alexander Park was meant to be sold to him on some dodgy arrangements involving the council. Isn't that right, Councillor Mushtaq? And then when I brought that to public attention, Mushtaq's brother, some fake lawyer called Tahir Mushtaq, launched a campaign against me which included trying to get young women to fabricate allegations. You know, people who'd never met me. I have no idea who they were. They coached them with a survivor of CSE who wasn't happy because she was now seeing some Pakistani guy on some relationship or something. They were coaching other girls on how they could lie that I had groomed them. I'm not making any of this up. So this is who these people are. And the cowardice, and I'm sorry, it's the cowardice from the opposition for me. The cowardice from the opposition. You can clearly see, you can clearly hear. You can clearly hear Elaine Taylor make reference to Cameron Goffor's criminal convictions, release privileged information. I had it, but I hadn't released it. I had it, but privileged information of 16 children and 8 adults being kicked out of one of his HMOs. So she's happy to do all of that. But the cowards in the opposition, not one of them will stand up and say, Arooj Shah, what is your relationship with the convicted heroin-dealing getaway driver of the cop killer Dale Cregan? Not one of them will get up and say, Brian Hoban, how many old women did you swindle money from? And how much money did you steal? Not one of them will stand up and ask Brian Hoban what happened at the Sea Cadets. Not one of them will stand up and say to Councillor Malik, could you tell us about your criminal convictions? Or whatever conviction he had for health and safety failings as a builder. Not one of them has the courage to get up and ask Abdul Jabbar, can you tell me what your relationship is with Shabir Ahmed? Do you see? And you want me to fight for this? Mark Wilkinson shouting in the background, you're getting personal. Well, Mark, it is personal. These people will fight dirty. And they are fighting dirty. You can't get on with these people. There is no negotiations with the Labour Party in this town. And anyone who believes you can negotiate with the Labour Party, well, you might as well just go and get a red Labour rosette.
Is responsible for housing standards and protecting residents. So what I would say to the other opposition groups who are being quite loud at the moment in this chamber, that in supporting this amendment, it shows that your principles also come a far second to political games, with the people of Oldham a distant third. But I will turn to the positives, because by contrast, Councillor Arooj Shah's record shows the complete opposite to those who were brought...
Here's his response.
As a speaking, it's not right, and I will be strict on that in the coming year. Thank you. Councillor Ghaffur.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So many points that I've raised, I'm just flabbergasted. So I'll try and break it down and see where we can get it. I won't be long. I'll be short and sweet. I'm hoping so. The people that were removed from my premises on King Street, this was a lease with a temporary accommodation. Temporary accommodation people at the council, so they had full control of it. They had control of the cleanliness, the maintenance of the property, and they were the ones that let it go down to the state that it was, and that's why they decided to refuse it. And I still think that might be a political move of getting residents out of my property because it's a personal attack on me. So I'm just making that very clear. It was a council's responsibility, the temporary accommodation department's responsibility to make sure that they keep that place safe for the people who are living there. And if there were any issues, we dealt with them. So that's on a personal level. And you are getting personal. I've never been personal with Councillor Rouge. I've not even mentioned her name once in my amendment. The way you speak, Councillor Shah, look, I'm not going to get into it again with you, yeah? The thing is, we know what it is. 45 councillors you had a few years ago. You're down to 27. And I'm telling you, in May next year, you'll be down. It was your leader. It's the Labour leadership. You are a collective. Councillor Shah, you lost another election before this. So whatever happens in this vote of confidence, I can promise you this, that next year this council will be completely different. The people on these benches, some of them, unfortunately, will not be here. And then we will decide. The way that you've dealt with this mayor and the deputy, not the mayor, sorry, the deputy mayor, you know, it's an absolute disgrace, Councillor Shah. You know, you shouldn't have done it that way. I had no power to offer anybody anything. There were people in the alliance that we are trying to create to get rid of your Labour administration because of your incompetence, because of the way that you are putting this council into debt again and again. It is in debt. It will be in debt very soon. It will be in debt very, very soon. Councillor Shah. This is the thing. And Councillor Jabbar mentioned the Green Initiative. And I was in that scrutiny committee. And when I asked the questions, how will it affect businesses? Businesses will be out of pocket because of that initiative. They may think that. They may nod their heads. You all may nod your heads. They will be out of pocket because I'm a businessman. I know how businesses run. And when you go from... anyway, whatever it is. So I think the people spoke at the ballot box last year. They decided, well, they did, didn't they, Councillor Taylor? Because a few of you are not here, are you? The ones that were last year. And you know, there are 9 of us.
Point of order, Mr.
So that's
Mayor.
a third, you know.
Mr. Mayor, you've already indicated you're going to be harsh on people shouting across the chamber.
Could members please let Councillor Gafour speak without interrupting? Thank you.
And Councillor Shuttleworth, you said land for a graveyard. Are the Muslim population of this town, are they not members of our community? Do they not deserve land to be buried? Yes, they have land, but do they not deserve their own? Do they not deserve what they want? It was not a gift. It's the same gift that we give to all the residents of Oldham. So, Councillor Shuttleworth, maybe you need to get your facts right. I'm not going to say much more, but what I'm saying is, vote with your hearts, especially the 4 independents. Vote today to do the right thing. Councillor Hintz, you asked for the letter yesterday when we were in conversation. You've got the letter. The letter was addressed from Councillor Shah as the leader of this council. It's an affront to democracy. It is yes, you are the leader. But what the council decided, 31 of us, including Councillor Hintz, including Councillor Navesy, they decided against places for everyone in Oldham.
We still do.
Well, if you did, then you'd make the right decision. Because this councillor, this leader, wrote a letter to the government saying that, look, she still wanted it. So I'm leaving it with you. And let the people...
Excuse me, coming out of this is not a conversation across the chamber.
Let the people of Shaw decide your fate. Thank you very much.
Councillor Hintz, did you want to just personal clarification?
I just want to clarify, our support to come out of PFE is unwavering, and the reason for the refusal was nothing to do with a political letter sent by Aruz Shah. It was, as stated by the Minister, because there was no real justification, and I laid that blame with Howard Sykes, not with Aruz Shah.
Point of... Mr Mayor, that is not anything to do with
it. That's nothing to do with it. Yeah, please withdraw that, Councillor Hintz, that last little remark. Please...
It's my personal view.
All right.
Sorry. I withdraw my personal view, but it is factual.
You're not withdrawing it then.
No, it's factual that the letter the letter stated there was no justification. That's a point of fact. Okay.
So he didn't withdraw anything, though, did he?
We'll move to the vote on the amendment. Recorded vote. We all understand what we're voting for. Just, yeah. Thank you.
So it's the vote. They lose the vote. And it kicks off.
Councillor Waheed. Councillor Wilkinson. Councillor Williamson. Councillor Woodvine.
For.
Mr Mayor.
Could I just make a quick comment, please, Mr. Mayor? It's Councillor Gafford here. Hello, hi. You okay? Sorry, yeah, just a quick one. Councillor Hoban, on the phone, when I asked him what he wanted, this is his reply to Councillor. Councillor said, what do you want for Failsworth? And Councillor Hoban said, F all. I want for Failsworth. What am I going to get? So this is the type of person. This is the type of person Councillor Hoban is, and that's what it was. And he is evident. He is witness to exactly what happened.
I have got to, Mr. Mayor, I've got to respond.
Councillor Hoban, you respond. Councillor...
You've got exactly what you got now, didn't you?
Councillor Gafford, will you stop interrupting, please? Thank you.
Point of personal explanation on an accusation that's just been levelled against me. On an accusation levelled against me.
Let Councillor Hoban speak, please. Councillor Gafford, I will not ask you again.
On an allegation against me, and I've got evidence that Councillor Gafford did offer me this role. And you've denied it. You've denied that before, so you have offered me this role.
Councillor Gafford.
I will say something else. I will sleep with full conscience after this vote because you are aware.
You won't be mayor next year.
You are aware, and other leaders are aware.
Councillor Gafford, cease. Stop.
You are aware.
Stop.
Councillor
Stop interrupting. Yes, please, leave the chamber. Thank you. If that's what you wish to do.
Councillor Gafford and all the other leaders in this room are aware of a serious safeguarding issue regarding an elected member, and you've done nothing about it. The members have done nothing about it. There's only 2 people that have done things about this. You should be ashamed of yourself. Covering things up, hiding things, hiding a serious allegation.
Councillor Hoban, please.
Mark, I thought we weren't making it personal.
So there is that. Sorry, I've just got a few messages of people who, a couple of people actually, one has cancelled their subscription because they're not happy with my position on Tommy Robinson. I don't think I've said anything untoward about Tommy Robinson other than I wish him well. I'm not here to be someone's gopher. That's all I don't think. And if that means I'm not for you, then what you'll find out, the same as the Labour Party lot found out over many years, is that I am my own man. I've navigated this far on my own, and I will get to where I need to get to, or I won't. But I'm not. I look forward to seeing what Tommy Robinson now does. I think I've been very clear on that. What do you want me to do? Go and hold his hand for you? No chance. Allegations of bribery. I'm going to leave the safeguarding one for tomorrow, I think. I'll try and get back tomorrow if I can. I think what people want me to do on that is somehow go out and openly hold his hand and support him and all the rest of that. And what some of these people don't understand is I can't give him legitimacy. I already operate on the fringes myself. The only reason I'm not in prison, so we're clear, the only reason I'm not in prison is because I pled not guilty and fought in every courtroom. It should be for our elected leaders to go out and support him. Or it should be those who make the mainstream news. I don't even make the mainstream news. I'm already blacklisted off the mainstream news. So cancel as many of your subscriptions as you want. It It makes no difference to me. As a consequence of that meeting, an email has gone out to the police and Shelley Kipling regarding corruption from the following councillors: Lewis Quigg, a cross-party letter sent in a personal capacity to the Chief Executive of Oldham Council and the Superintendent of Greater Manchester Police Oldham. The Superintendent of Greater Manchester Police Oldham has already replied and is fuming. How dare Councillor Quigg and the other two councillors contact her directly? The reason she's fuming is she cannot Here's another one. Melvin, I don't know you. You don't know me. Go and get stuffed, lad. I don't dance to some of these people's tune. You can see that. And they all hide behind the keyboard. Hide behind the keyboard. They're never at any other protests, never at any other demonstrations. Hiding behind a keyboard. One of the lads who put on the Manchester demonstration, the last one I went to and spoke at, whilst they were calling me Nazi behind me, posted recently. One supporting me, but more so criticising all these brave men who hide behind a keyboard, telling other people what they should be doing, using fake accounts. Yeah. Not for me. Dear Mrs. Kipling, we are writing to you with concern to the annual council meeting held on Wednesday the 21st of May 2025. We subsequently became aware via video of the Deputy Mayor making serious allegations at both the meetings and outside of it. A video circulated by the Deputy Mayor online refers to an email that had circulated prior to the above-mentioned meeting for the attention of the group leaders. On Friday the 23rd of May, you issued a statement at 15:02 p.m. confirming allegations that a councillor was under council and police investigation. In doing so, the spotlight is now on all councillors for the serious safeguarding allegation of such a serious nature that the Deputy Mayor alleges the group leaders of the Oldham Group, Conservative Group and Liberal Democrat Group covered up a serious safeguarding issue. We are so concerned about the allegations made by the Deputy Mayor that we have copied in Greater Manchester Police. At the same meeting, allegations of bribery, potential misconduct in public office and serious allegations as mentioned above should mean that these matters are investigated. When issues of this nature have been raised by members of the public in the past, it is alleged that the council has failed to deal with them. We are therefore challenging you and the council to refer these matters, where they haven't done so already, to refer them to the police so that a full and proper independent investigation is launched into all the allegations made at the annual council meeting and outside of it. So what you've got is a letter has gone to the Chief Executive, Shelley Kipling, and also to Greater Manchester Police, Superintendent in Oldham, from Lewis Quigg, Mark Wilkinson and Sandra Ball, demanding an investigation into, one, the serious safeguarding allegations made by Councillor Hoban, and that 3 opposition councillors leaders are part of the cover-up. And separately to that, the police need to investigate the allegations of corruption. Leader of Oldham Council, alleged corruption. Cameron Gaffer, alleged corruption. Dave Arnott was referenced by the leader of Oldham Council as alleging corruption. Bribery. I'm on about bribery here. So you've got all of that. And so far the police have emailed him back unhappy. How dare you contact me? Or words to that effect. I'm sorry. The most senior police officer. It comes with the territory. It comes with the territory. Thank you so much. I have the letter that Hoban references. It was sent to me by a councillor who's hiding behind a fake account and also trying to threaten me. I'll share that letter with you and I'll dissect Hoban's statement and show you for the farce it is. But also there's a deeper, sleazier cover-up. Sleaze. It's corrupt. You can see the council's corrupt. It's rotten. You can all see the council's rotten. It won't be investigated because the police are neck deep in the cover-up, Callum. The police are neck deep in the cover-up because the police have helped cover up the firebombing of Arooj Shah's car. Once they failed. So, thank you for the super chat to Lynn, to all the others. Thank you so much. My position is very clear when it comes to Oldham. If you want me to get involved in the politics and clean this up, and I know I can clean this up, I can support a clean version of reform that holds free and fair elections, and I'll work with whoever is elected, providing they sign up to those pledges. If you don't sign up to those pledges, I'm not getting involved. And I'm very clear. On those pledges aren't build a statue of Raja Miah. They're not pay Raja Miah any money. There's none of that involved towards me. There are four motions to be passed. One is to call the government in to investigate the corruption and criminality that infest this town. The second one is to call in the auditors. And the third one is completely reasonable. That's Operation Hexagon, right to Andy Burnham. Many of you have got files against you by Greater Manchester Police, secret files they've put together because you've spoken out against the cover-up of the gang rape of children. That is a misuse of police power. It needs to be investigated. And the last one, the man why we're all here, is Warren Bates, and reward him with a statue in the council chamber. So that's where I'm up to. Support me or surrender. It's no more complicated than that. And if you believe you'll win without me, and I'm not an arrogant man, but if you believe you can get over the line against this lot that you've just seen without being coordinated, then the best of luck to all of you. But so far, zilch in terms of response to what I've shared, and I know they've all seen it. So, I'll come back with the letter. I'll share it with you and Brian Hoban's in a very short, bespoke sort of transmission. I'll try and do it tomorrow. But if you've took value this evening, my battery's died on my computer, but if you took value this evening, please sign up to Redwall and the Rabble. Most of you haven't. That's what I'm asking you to do. And if you can, please support me by buying me a coffee. I am 100% community funded, and all of the work I do is only possible because I'm supported by people like you. Even though the odds are stacked against us. 6 years in, we're still here. Take care.